Hello, we are the Edufuturists. I'm Dan Fitzpatrick.
I'm Ben Whitaker.
And I'm Stephen Hope.
The podcast by educators, for educators, the Edufuturists podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Edufuturists podcast. This isn't any episode. This is a special episode. This is the first in our new series of Student Voice podcast, and we are delighted to be joined by the students of Cheam Common Junior Academy from the Leo Academy Trust. So it's fantastic to have all of you with us and your teachers. If you are listening now, you can, as this is going out live on YouTube, you can leave some comments in the chat below, and we'll try and get back to you as soon as possible.
So as you all know, we've had over 150 podcast episodes at edufuturists.com. You can go and subscribe on the YouTube channels. Our most recent broadcasts include Lord Jim Knight, Miss Makoto, who is in our call today, as amongst many others.
Yeah, so a little reminder as well for those people listening that you can sign up for our annual awards event too, in partnership with Net Support and Sea Learning, which is going to be held virtually on the 10th of July, the first ever virtual Edufuturist Summit. Please register online at www.edufuturists.com. So as we're going to get into this podcast in a moment, many of our guests and listeners have told us over the last few weeks and months that they want to hear the voices of students, to let us know and let the rest of the people that listen to our podcast and watch our YouTube channel know what they think the future of education might look like. So we listened. And this is what happens today. This is the first time we've ever had students on this podcast, and we're glad to be joined by these students from Cheam Common.
So as an EdTech Demonstrator School, Cheam Common is now supporting the delivery of Department of Education's new national programme, providing peer-led advice and training to help schools and colleges use technology to support remote teaching and improve their digital capability.
Yeah, the students joining us today are part of their Digital Leaders program at Cheam, and we're looking forward to hearing their ideas and their thoughts and everything that's going on at the moment. And if you want to check out the school, have a look at their website, cheamcommon.org.uk.
The podcast by educators, for educators, the Edufuturists podcast.
Fantastic. So it's great to see you all. This is the most people we've ever had on a podcast. So I don't know if you want to just give a wave to our audience who are going to be seeing. Thanks, everyone. So Cheam is down in Surrey in the south of England. We won't hold that against you because we're all Northerners. But we are really grateful for you joining us in your school day today. And thank you to the staff who have helped make this happen as well. So we want to jump straight in, really, because we are old people. I've said this to you before. We are old people. We have ideas about what education should be like. Probably because we had education in some way, and actually because we want to do the things that are easiest for us as teachers. Let's be honest. So what we really need to do is we need to hear from students, and we're really excited to do this today. So first question, the first thing we want to talk about is what learning has looked like since we went remote. So I know that in lots of ways, your school building you might not be going into your school building, but the schooling has still happened, doesn't it? And you've been continuing to learn online. So what's it look like? And I'm going to hand over to Miss Shirley, who will direct some of the students that are going to be talking to us today.
So who wants to answer that question? What does it look like?
Come on, don't be shy.
What does learning look like since you going remote? Erica.
Our school has been very good because they've gotten the top 3% or 1% of schools in the UK, which I'm very proud of our school.
That's great.
Vasi?
Learnings look like very fun, and we do a lot more at home than at school when we used to. So I think it's like a good chance to do a lot.
Okay, and we said that what are you enjoying the most and what are you sort of hating the most about distance learning?
I enjoy the most like the class hangouts and the digital leader hangouts and all the fun things we do in lessons. But something I hate is not seeing my friends face to face and my teachers.
Thank you, Vasu.
Can I just ask Vasu? She mentioned there that she has lots of meets. Vasu, could you just tell our audience what does that mean?
So we have these Google Meets, so we get to like collaborate and have fun with our teachers and classes. So we like read books, we do hunts, like scavenger hunts and things like that.
That's brilliant. And is that like a video call, is it? So
Yeah.
And you're on live with the rest of your class?
Yeah.
That's brilliant. Thank you.
And is there any subjects that have changed massively or are very different now since you're learning from home? Anything that's got better or anything that you think that you're missing at the moment?
I think they're all like pretty much the same, but it's just everything's on Chromebooks and we don't use much books.
And is that better?
Yeah.
What does everybody else think?
Anybody else got anything they want to add to that one? Erica?
Chromebooks are good because then we can like see our friends more, and normally we see our friends individually, but now we can see them virtually. But the Chromebooks also help because we have Google Classroom, but all our work is kept in one place, and if we missed a day of work, we can just go back the next day and it will still be there.
Thank you, Erica.
That sounds great. And I think you guys are probably underselling the amount of things that you do. You're probably not telling us all the great things you do, because some of the conversations I have about how you're getting your work out of Google Classroom, and then you're not having to print anything out. You're not having to get packets sent to you in the post. You're doing your learning on your Chromebook. But has anybody got any good? This might be interesting because some of your teachers might be making decisions now. Anything that you've enjoyed doing whilst you've been online that you've been doing on your Chromebook? Any great lessons or activities?
Bea?
There are some really cool things because in school, when you're like doing work, you have to do the work and then you have to do the challenges. But with the maths that you can do online, like I found this thing called Prodigy, where it's a maths game and you do tons of maths. So I do my maths lesson, then I do this, and you can't do that in school because you have to do the paper-based challenges after.
Thank you, Bea.
Awesome.
Frey, what about you?
I'm probably just liking the daily challenges that you'll post on the stream in Classroom for us to do, so we don't get bored, as we wouldn't usually do that. And
Can you give some examples of that?
well, last time there was like kindness calendar or something, and it showed you what you could do to be kind every day for a week. And then there was a happiness jar that you could make as well.
That sounds cool.
Anyone else got anything they want to say? There's lots of people sitting quietly there. Okay, I'll go back to Erica then.
I've been making loads of Kahoots. Like today's my sister's birthday, so I made a birthday Kahoot for her today.
Awesome.
And I've been doing loads of educational Kahoots, and then I post the link on the Classroom stream, and then loads of people join. But you can't play them properly because normally you need to see the questions on the board, but you can't the answers and the questions. But you can't anymore, so it's more of a guess game now.
I absolutely love the music from Kahoot. That's like the best thing about Kahoot, isn't it? It just reminds you of the some of the best things ever. You just hear that music and everybody does the same move. Or maybe that's just me. Maybe it's because I'm old and I do dance moves.
Dad dancing. Dad dancing.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I've got a question for Erica again before we go to Vasu, if that's okay. Erica, do you find that when you're learning from home, you just said that you're finding loads of Kahoots and different things. Do you find that you're learning and finding things to teach yourself and exploring a little bit more than you would do in a classroom?
Yes, because like we can go outside more and do more for a school than we can. But I basically do lots of Kahoots. When I find something, then I want to do a Kahoot all about it.
Brilliant.
That's great. I've got a question. In terms of all of the new things that you're doing, and when it comes to learning at home, what do you think you will take back into school when your school reopens and you go back to school? Is there something that you've been doing at home that you think will really help your learning when you get back to school?
I love the challenges on the distance learning website. Our school has made a Google Sites about distance learning and everything. I love the challenges on there, so that's one thing that I would love to keep.
Brilliant, thank you. Has anybody else got a favourite thing that they want to keep doing when they go back to school?
Louis, what about you?
I want to keep doing the digital skill lessons you do on the distance learning website. They're fun because then you learn how to use apps and stuff if you don't know how to use them.
Thanks, Louis.
What I love about this idea of you guys talking about what you want to keep as well, and I wonder, if we were to give a thumbs up if we think we like working from home more than we dislike working from home, or a thumbs down saying we think that we would prefer to work at school rather than at home. So we've got an up, we've got a few ups, we've got a few people in the middle. Interesting. So there's quite a few people would rather be back in school, but some people do like it. So it's interesting that there's going to be a mix. So what those people that are saying no, they would rather be back in the building. Why is it? Is it because of friends and teachers, or is it the learning that you do that you'd prefer to do in the building?
Roxy, what do you think?
I think school's better because you have face-to-face lessons, and then you get more detail when you have face-to-face lessons. Then when you're at home, you don't have as much details and instructions to do your work.
What about Elma?
So I think I'd rather be in school because it's harder not being in a school environment, because you have the working rules that can help you out with some things.
Thank you, Elma. Rosie?
You have the support from the teachers, and you also from your friends. You can also work in groups, so you can ask them, like your partner who's sitting next to you.
So this is really interesting because we all there's probably people on the call now that are saying, well, what about the people that put the thumbs up that said we would prefer to be working at home, we quite like it. So has anybody got that kind of a response to any of what your friends have said?
Vasu?
I would like you can go to school and also work at home, because at school you can if you're stuck on something, you can just go up to your teacher and ask them. But at home you can also do that, but it's just that there's a bit of a delay because the teacher might not see it immediately, the questions you ask.
Okay.
Erica, do you want to add to that?
So obviously coronavirus has never happened before. So I've got used to be able sitting in a room with the teacher like in front of me, looking at a board, working. But now I'm in a table looking at the wall with my parents helping me. I find that a little weird, but I prefer the teachers' help because they're basically trained and everything.
The teachers are trained and everything. So, teachers, you're wonderful for being trained on it, and that's really helpful. And I wonder as well if we start to appreciate teachers a little bit more sometimes. Do you think? What about your parents? Do you think your parents appreciate teachers a little bit more?
Yes, definitely more teacher and Miss Shirley.
Yeah, I agree. I have, like, as many of you'll know, when I mentioned it to us last time, I have 2 daughters, and I could never be a primary school teacher. So hats off to all the primary school teachers in here, just because it's so hard, and you've got to. I can't sometimes. What is it? A frontal adverbial I learnt about the other day. You guys don't know what all that is. I do not remember learning that at school.
So,
okay, so
sorry, Ben. Just before we move on, and I know obviously we're focusing on the children, just an overview from the teachers and Mr. Macaulay. I know we've talked about what it's like, but also what was the setup, and also what preparation and what has the school done to put this in place to get to this point. Maybe just a bit of an overview that would be really helpful, I think.
Yeah, definitely. So we were in quite a lucky position that technology was really important to us as a school and across the trust, and it was something that was in our sort of DNA to enable us to develop and improve the provision that we provided all of our children. So for us, we were in a lucky position that when the horrific corona related school closures were imminent, that actually we had our strategy and we had a clear vision about what we wanted to achieve, and instead the challenge was about how do we accelerate our provision and how do we accelerate what we wanted to offer our children. So we were already going through an extensive one-to-one Chromebook rollout. That was already part of what we wanted to do. And so instead of sort of having to think in the spur of the moment about what devices do we do, how are we going to educate, we were really lucky that we could pull on all of the systems that we'd got in place. But more importantly than that, I think we could pull on all of the expertise that our staff had already got. So staff were very much skilled in terms of cloud-based working. We already had G Suite as our tenancy, but that's also to say that it's not really about it's not about Google at all, is it? It's about taking the technology and using that to deliver teaching and learning. But we could take all of that. Our staff were confident with Drive and Sites and Jamboard, and so it was tweaking. And I think our success really has come down to the hard work and determination of all the staff and children across all of our schools in making this happen. And although, as our children have sort of shared, we've offered them a fantastic provision. That's not to say that that's happened overnight. And I think it has been a 5-year-long almost preparation for this point, really.
Thank you. That's a really great insight and really useful. So back to the students. They're definitely the focus. Sorry, Mr. Macaulay, but they are today. But what kind of skills do we think we've developed in terms of these times and digitally that we maybe didn't have before?
I guess it's Erica again then. Erica? Actually, let's go to Rosie. Rosie's got her hand up now. Rosie.
I've learned to type a lot quicker and just using apps and websites that I haven't used before.
And any particular ones, Rosie? Any particular apps or anything?
I've used WeVideo. That was really cool to make videos with music on top of the videos, and webcam and voiceovers. That was a really cool one.
Brilliant.
Sid?
Same. So it's kind of the same. I've been learning, when you go into tablet mode, there's a little keypad thing. Yeah, I've learned how to type quicker on that one. And I've also kind of learned to use Toontastic more than often.
Love Toontastic. It's one of my favourite. So I've been helping my girls do Toontastic. That sounds good. I'm glad that you guys use Toontastic too.
Right, Elma.
I've been like exploring some new websites and like learning how to use them a bit more. And I've also made an emoji quiz.
And Elma, did you share that with others for the quiz? Who did you use the quiz on?
So I shared it with my mum, my dad, and my sister, so I could test them with the emoji quiz.
Vasu.
I've learned how to do several Google Forms, so quizzes. It's like when you do quizzes and then share it with your friends, and I've had lots of fun with it. Like I made an adventure story. I've made lots of quizzes as well.
That's cool. It also looks like we've got somebody with a pro green screen in the background. Has somebody been using their green screen? Xavier?
Yeah.
So you've been doing some videos with green screen as well. Is that something you did before you joined, before we went on to lockdown, or is it a new thing?
For some reason, I just wanted to like record on YouTube and stuff. So I do that. I play like games online with my friends, and then I just use the green screen like for my face cam.
Cool. Cool. So, thank you for that. I think one of the things that we've talked about previously is around, and obviously we are our name of our podcast, as you'll have worked out, is a bit hard to pronounce for lots of people. Even we struggle to say it. It's called Edufuturists, but it's about the idea about the future of education. So this is where we were really excited to hear from you as students and as people that the world's going to look probably very different for you than it does for us right now, and what it could look like. So I wonder whether we could hear from some of you around what you think the world will be like in 20 years' time.
Frey.
I think the world will probably be mainly technology, and everyone will probably be using technology most of the time of the day, really. And learning would probably be done with more technology, mainly like all the schools using Chromebooks.
Thank you, Frey. What about Erica? What do you think?
We use lots of other technology as well as having many books, but I would suppose that in 20 years, many poorer countries will still have books. But I think everyone will have a phone or a computer. You will learn at home, not school, as well as having a laptop at school and home. Plus, most people will have amazing internet in those good days, and have a device that will help them work or play educational games, I think.
That's really cool. And just, I know Ben talked about 20 years from now. What about even just a few years from now? Because I know there's a lot of teachers, a lot of head teachers having conversations and debates at the moment around the country and the world about how lots of students like yourselves are learning new skills. Now, your school was in a really great position because you were already using a lot of these educational technologies, whereas a lot of schools weren't using them. And so they've had to really learn fast over the last couple of months to learn how to use all of these tools that you're using as well. Do you think that when you go back to school after the pandemic kind of dies down a bit and everyone can go back, do you think that a lot of the technology will change education? So will it change how we do school? And I'm not even thinking about small things. I'm thinking about massive things, because do we even change the school day, when we start school, when we end school, if we can do some of this stuff at home? And has anyone got any big ideas when it comes to things like that?
Bea.
Well, I've got two that could work. So, like, with schools, you sometimes have a half day because, like, you can't go into school. Like, on the half of the day that you're not in school, you could do a meet like this and do the rest of the lessons. Or, like, if you're ill, someone can set up a meet on the Chromebook at the back of the class. And so you can be ill, like, in bed, and you can still be doing the lessons in school. So, like, you can still be at home if you're ill, but you're still learning.
That's awesome. One of the things that just to jump on that before you give us your second idea, because you had a second idea, but we've talked about, obviously, even in the next few weeks and months, the amount of students that are going to be able to be in classrooms, and that we're having to reduce the amount of people that are in classrooms at once. And so, and even from September, what that will look like for us as schools and colleges. So whether we have a 5 or 6 or 10 students in front of us, and then the other 10 join us via video link, and then the week after it works. Is that the kind of thing you were thinking about, Bea?
Yeah, and like, because year 6s, year 2s and year 1s are going back into school, they can only go in for half days. So the rest of that day, they're either doing online learning, or in, like, the other half of the class is in the class and the other are on a meet. So that could be it.
That's great. Has anyone else got any other ideas about how school might change?
Rasu?
I think school will change, like, because we've got all this homeschooling and there's great technology already. Like, we would go on a great, like, not decline, but we would use less books. So in a few years, you might, like, not even use books at all. And also, school can change, like, as Bea said, we've got homeschooling, so if you're ill, you can stay at home and do homeschooling as well, because all our lessons are now on the classroom, on the Chromebook.
And has anybody found that they might want to take forward in regards to the amount of breaks that you have and how your lessons are structured in regards to having an hour and a half and then a break or anything else? Do you take different breaks? Would that be different?
Yeah.
No, I think you should still have the same breaks, but, like, when you're on the meet, because when you're in school, of course, there are things that you're not allowed to do at break time. So when it's break time, you'll still have the same ones, the same amount of time, but you'll have to stay on the meet so the teachers can supervise what you're doing.
Okay.
Great answer. Thank you.
All right. I think. I'm just thinking in terms of going back to what Ben was saying before about how this is going to change things and what the future might look like in 20 years' time. So in 20 years' time, how old will you be? How old are you now? How old are you?
9.
9. So you'll be 29. Okay. You'll be fully grown adults, hopefully with jobs.
Some sad faces now. Just to clarify for the audience can't see it, there's a lot of sad faces.
Yeah, I know what that feels like because I'm nearly 29 myself. So that's
plus that.
So, you know how we think, well, what's the future going to be like? Sometimes we ask that question in a very passive way, which means like, oh, well, it's just going to happen. The future will just happen. It'll be something that I have to kind of get involved with. Yeah. But actually, you are the people who will make the future, because the future has to be made. So how do you think you can help create that future that you want to see in 20 years' time?
Bea?
Well, in 11 years, I'll be 20. So that means I can go work for technology, which means other people can have more tech in school.
That's cool. What kind of job are you thinking about doing in technology?
Like, I really want to make video games, like, or code stuff.
Nice. Anyone else?
Erica?
I want to make lots of podcasts for everybody and make like films.
That's great. Have we inspired you, Erica? Is that it? I'm joking.
Ours are really boring. You probably won't want to listen to ours. We have like teachers that and old people boring, but yeah, a cool student podcast or talking about things that you're interested in sounds really great.
Mandy, what about you?
Maybe she was stretching.
No, I think she wants
to. Hands there.
Yep.
Mandy, can you unmute your microphone? Press the space bar. Oh, she's saying she can't unmute.
Okay, we don't worry, Mandy. If you get around to it, we can come back to you. Okay, so just keep that thought.
Or even put your answer in the chat if you wanted to, and we can answer that for you.
Yeah, and Miss Shirley can bring that one up. That'd be brilliant. So as we just go through that, so I don't know if everybody's seen the news. You know, there's a lot of news on at the moment, and the impact of us all not traveling and schools and people working from home is having on the environment. You know, there's dolphins swimming in Italy that they've never seen, and the air quality is better. Do you think? Are you mindful of that? Do you think that that's a big issue, and that's why you might want to do more of this to help the environment?
Frey?
Probably yes, to help the environment, as there's always lots of plastic pollution everywhere.
Basu? Thanks, Frey.
Same as Frey, there's loads of plastic in the oceans and there's lots of car pollution as well. So I would continue this to help the environment and the future.
And Sid? Thank you, Basu. Sid?
You know how we were just talking about plastic pollution? Yesterday, me and my sister's friends and my mum and dad, we went to Nonsuch Park, and there were people there, like not that much, and then they were having loads of drinks in like cans, and then once we came back, they left their plastic bags there, they left everything there, and like all their plastic cups and everything.
Anybody else want to share their thoughts? I think it's really interesting. Erica, jump in yet?
I think lockdown has actually helped the world, but also not helped the world.
I agree. What do you mean by that?
So basically, it's helped the world by fixing air pollution and plastic pollution. People stop going out, so it's less plastic in the ocean. But the bad part is we're using lots of plastic now, and most of the masks are going in the ocean now. But also, the bad thing is loads of people are going home, and that's not really good for our body unless you exercise.
Yeah, that's true. I think looking at a screen all the time is not always great, is it? So having to have that, be able to have that break. There's some good things, but then you get to spend more time with your family. Perhaps sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes that's not a good thing. We understand that, but also the whole idea of thinking about what really matters. So I don't know if any of you clap for the NHS or your families clap for the NHS, and we do things where we're celebrating the kindness that some of you guys were talking about earlier. And you think it's really made us think about things that we might not have done before. I think that's really nice. I think Mandy put something in the chat as well about what she wanted to do about being an engineer. I loved it. He said, for those people who can't see it, he said, right now I don't want to be an engineer or whatsoever, but I want to help build inventions other people come up with. So that's a lovely thing, that maybe you want to find a way to help people come up with what they want to do, which is great. And I hope that you manage to get to do what you need to do to be able to do that, Mandy. Is there, Vasu, did you want to add something there?
The last question, on VE Day on 8th of May, if we had been at school, then we may not have had like the full day to celebrate VE Day. So in a way, the lockdown is good because you can celebrate and do like big things for the full day instead of going to school and only having half a day left.
Nice.
That's brilliant. Thanks for sharing. And yeah, I think we really appreciate the fact that you guys have taken some time out of your busy days to come and speak to us and to speak to our listeners who will be watching this and listening on the podcast, and just getting an idea of what this is all like for you, which I think is a really important thing to do, because I think sometimes teachers, we can kind of speculate about what it's like for our students, but actually to hear it from you makes the world of difference. So I just want to say, on behalf of us, Edufuturists, a big thank you. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah. And I want to share a quote from a friend of the podcast, Bob Harrison, with the learners, around the fact that the future is in our hands as educators, but actually the future of learning is actually in your heads as students. So continue to share these ideas, because you're the ones who have ideas of actually what we want to drive, and we need to just plan accordingly and make sure the learning is about you and actually what you want. So make sure that you share those, and thank you very much for sharing them today. It's been really insightful and absolutely brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah, we're really grateful that one day maybe the Edufuturists will come on a little tour down to Surrey and see you in person and thank you in person. But we're really, really grateful for your thoughts. Yeah, keep doing what you're doing, because the Cheam is on the map, and obviously other people are talking about the great stuff you're doing. And it's not just your teachers that are doing that, or Mr. McCauley that's doing that. It's because of students like you that are leading the way, because there aren't. You just talk about going onto a Meet and onto Classroom and using your Chromebook and this like it's just normal, and it really isn't. You're doing a really special thing. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.